Okay, I don't feel like I need to get into the Boom games all that much. They weren't received well, what more is there to say? I personally enjoyed the game, not saying that they're good, but for what they were fine. Other than that, the only other Boom thing I seen was the comics and TV show. Well, that is until I got obsessed with the merchandise. This is the first Sonic TV show I ever really properly watched. Never seen Adventures, SatAM, X, but I did watch a couple episodes of Sonic Underground on Jetix or Pop whenever I was younger, and I quite liked it. Again, maybe I should mention that I was 7. Sonic Boom is a reboot of the Sonic the Hedgehog series that takes an action-oriented series and turns it into a comedy that aims itself towards young children. Where have I heard that before? Oh, this isn't a good sign. Okay, let's get it out of the way. Sonic Boom is Teen Titans Go and the Powerpuff Girls reboot done right. They take the basics of the original, like the characters, but change the way they look and the setting around them to differentiate itself from the original. With saying that, Sonic Boom isn't without its problems. Now, I've never reviewed anything other than the game before, so I'm gonna slow the structure I'm gonna show the structure in which I'm gonna be reviewing this. First, I'll talk about the characters, next I'll talk about the animation, then about the story, and finally, the writing. And after all that, I'll summarise my thoughts on the show. Characters. Like I mentioned, all of the Sonic cast, bar Robot and Cubot, have gotten complete redesigns. They're still recognisable, unlike some of Big Red Button's previous ideas. God, imagine a little 7-year-old kid at 7 in the morning waking up, turning on the TV and seeing a CG version of this. These redesigns caused quite the stir in the Sonic community back in 2014, but I actually quite like them. Sonic actually looks really cool. I like the extra little spikes that he has, and the neckerchief does give him more of an adventurer look. People complain a lot about his longer limbs and blue arms, some more than others. I know this is a very, very unpopular opinion. I love Sonic's longer limbs, it makes him look really cool. Amy is the same, except now she has a different dress, which I actually prefer to her main series dress, and different shoes. Tails, goggles and belt, moving on. And last but certainly not least, Knuckles has gone to the gym and is now buff as hell in some areas more than others, but still... what original joke can I make from this? What did Knuckles take? Steroids? Again, an unpopular opinion, I like Knuckles' design in this, especially the fact that he no longer has a massive boxing glove that just seems to get bigger. All of these changes have been made to highlight certain aspects of the character. You know, Sonic's the adventurer, so he has the ascot. Tails is the pilot and mechanic, so he's got goggles and a tool belt. Knuckles is the tough guy, so he's buffer now, and Amy's the girl. And all the characters have been kitted out with sports tape to show off the running aspect of all the characters. And they also have this energy whip called an Inner Beam. They obtained this from the Rise of Laird game and they don't use it in the show all too often, so I won't talk about it anymore. Eggman looks fine, not too different. Except like Knuckles, he's gotten spindly little legs but a giant body. And I'll talk more about Sticks in a bit. Since this is a comedy aimed at children, all the characters have very one-note personalities that serve as an outline for the writers to make whatever jokes fit in with them. Sonic's the cocky one, he talks about his ego.
Right, and there's no room for ego on Team Sonic. And friends. I was gonna include you guys, albeit not individually.
Tails is the smart one, he uses big words.
Oh no! In my maniacal zeal, I left them all in the failed traps!
Amy's the girl one, she's the girl.
People think I'm the cute one. The girly one. Oh, sweet little adorable Amy Rose. Wonder what kind of cake she's baking today.
And Knuckles is a retard.
Well, then put it in the blender.
Well, if you say so.
The chili dog, not the baby!
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Because there's no set personality for all the characters, many of the episodes have the characters act differently. Amy's probably the biggest offender to this. In some episodes she's the sweet understanding one, but in other episodes she's the mean, self-obsessed one. This only really is a problem whenever characters bring attention to their character traits. Like, Amy, when did you ever make cakes and shit? The only consistent one is Eggman, who's the best character on the show. He's the evil guy who just wants some friends. All he wants is a theme park, like fuck, you live in a giant fucking island, just give him some space to do what he likes. Finally, there's Sticks. The brand new character for this series. She's a jungle badger and her character trait is that she's the crazy one.
Okay,
I know what you're thinking. But evil spirits didn't set this trap, I did!
She always spouts conspiracy theories and usually has wacky traps around the place. She's a lot less annoying than she sounds, I promise. Her design is pretty cool and her voice... Again, she's a lot less annoying than she sounds. Weirdly enough, Amy and Tails live in houses. Sonic stays in a shack, but it's actually not his. Six lives in a hole in the woods, and they didn't bring this up until the second season. But Knuckles literally just lives in the forest. On their own, all the characters can seem almost too one-note, but all the characters really do shine in their interactions with each other.
Greatest villain ever!
Stealing a trophy isn't the same as winning one.
If the award is for villainy, I'd say it's better to steal it.
Well, yeah, you got me there.
Score one for Eggman. I like this battling with words.
Every joke is working off what the previous character said. The only real problem that I have with the characters is... Eggman's the only likable one. So many of the episodes, especially in Season 2, have Eggman be the protagonist and Sonic and friends be the antagonists. Like, for example, whenever the Sonic crew find out that Eggman's afraid of ghosts.
And a real ghost!
They're just going, fuck with him all day. I mean, look at Eggman, he did nothing wrong in this situation. And he's fucking getting harassed. The worst episode for this has to be Mr. Eggman. The plot is that the crew and everyone else in the village find out that Eggman isn't actually a doctor, and whenever they hear about this, they constantly harass and make fun of him. Eggman comes into a restaurant and sees that everyone's making fun of him, and understandably, he gets pissed about it. So what happens to everyone? Eggman gets kicked out. So let me get this straight. Eggman walks into a restaurant, gets harassed, security comes and kicks out Eggman for literally doing nothing but just coming in. There are also a small variety of side characters who are in the village. There's only like 12 of them, and the problem with a CG show is that they need to model every new character. So whenever they wanted to have a new character, they would just take an old one that would fit in that position. For example, Soar the Eagle started as an inspirational speaker, but later was used as a news anchor, and Fastidious Beaver, who always corrected everyone's grammar in the earlier episode, turned into a librarian. The show actually does make some jokes towards this though.
I got another 30% of the village! 2 more people signed!
Animation. So this is the first CGI Sonic show, and I'd say it looks pretty good. Great even. Most of the time. It's animated by a French studio called We Do Productions, but for Season 2, their name was changed to Technicolor. They previously worked on... Moving on. The animation for the first episode is beautiful. The lighting is great, especially in this scene, but as the series moves on, the budget must have been sliced in half, because everything just looks so stiff, especially in action sequences, which is a shame for reasons I'll get into later. Most of them just go by in a couple of seconds and are visually boring. It's just, Sonic comes and attacks enemies, Knuckles punches one, Tails hits one with a wrench. But then, Season 2 comes along, which is the biggest disappointment in terms of animation. Some episodes, especially the episode Mech Suits Me and the final episodes, look amazing, even better than the first season. But then there are episodes like Knock Knock Who's There?
Next time, look where you're going!
Which is a good episode, but it's just brought down by how messy the animation looks. I think I know what it was though. I saw these behind the scenes videos where they showed the episodes before it's rendered. Now look at that final episode. It was probably either a lack of money or a lack of time. My bet is on a lack of time, because no joke, they literally keep in the frame counter at the top of the screen for a couple seconds. Some people argued to me that this was just a robot's vision, but fuck off with that. The animation in Season 1 was stiff at points, but at least it was consistent. One thing that I really like is that instead of using 3D renders for the pictures in the show, they actually used 2D artwork. It looks really good and I wish they'd actually use it for an actual 2D Sonic show. Don't get me wrong, I like CG and all, but 2D just looks so much better. Did you know? In the video game Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, there's a section where you can get behind the scenes info from Season 1. One of them shows a picture of Sonic and Tails playing a video game and states, while they were trying to figure out how they wanted to portray images, they made this render up, but it went up unused. But if you watch the first episode of the actual show, there it is right there. One thing that the animation in Season 2 definitely has over Season 1 is that the action is great. It gets so visually interesting, the characters have more than just a couple of moves that they just repeat. We actually see Sonic punching people and Styx uses different weapons. Again, I know I'm saying this a lot, but especially in the final episode. I know people were annoyed at it for being a comedy, but even though it is, I'm glad that it has at least a minute of 2 in action in an episode. And seeing the final product, I'm sure that the people are happier with this than if we got an action. The characters in Season 1 were also a lot less expressive. Look at a scene like this.
You know what I think is compassionate? Saving the village from Eggman, like every week. I quit heroing, and I quit this stupid group!
Roger's performance is great, but the face doesn't sell that Sonic is furious. But in Season 2, everyone got so, well, animated. The characters squash and stretch and the expressions are amazing. Also, whose idea was it to have remixes of older songs in the actual series? This is something I didn't know I needed until I saw it happen, and whoever came up with that idea is a fucking genius. So, the story. This won't take long. Eggman wants to take over the village and build an amusement park over it, while at the same time it's sort of underplayed that Eggman also wants the approval and to be friends with Team Sonic.
What fool would want to be Sonic's sidekick? Spending every day with him, enjoying his friendship and respect. Not me, that's for sure.
But they're always there to stop him, and that's really it. The show is episodic, so it resets after every episode, with only certain parts carrying over, which I feel like is a problem with Season 2. It's cool to see things like the Valley of the Cubots return for a bit, but when you focus an entire episode on it, I can't help but feel like it was a waste. It's cool whenever Steve Eggman has another episode because they do something with it. With the Cubots, it's just like having 5 Cubots restricted to one area, and you know exactly how they'll react to every situation because it's Cubot. Lots of the Season 2 episodes just return to, insert Season 1 episode name here, and lots of the time, it doesn't even matter. Like, Return to the Buddy Buddy Temple, that has literally nothing to do with the Season 1 episode. You could take that name out of the episode and nothing would change. But then, with all things, they don't bring it back enough. Like early on in Season 2, they start introducing a lot of new weapons and characters like Og, Friendbot, who should have been Omega, and Sonic's Mech-Suit. The Mech-Suit comes back for one episode, Og only makes small cameos in like 2 other episodes, and Friendbot comes back for one episode and goes up to the sky and never comes back. The only real time they ever tried to tell some kind of intriguing plot was the Robots from the Sky 4-parter, where these robots come from the sky. It's a lot more interesting than it sounds. The third part has a really good twist. I won't spoil it here, but it's really cool, and I love that it ends with cyborg versions of the Broom Crew being made. They also tried to have a story within the last 2 episodes, Eggman the video game, and the end of the world. I actually will spoil it this time. Shadow returns from his last appearance in Season 1, where he tries to kill not only Sonic, not only Eggman, but the entire universe. It's probably the best episode in the entire series. Writing. Okay, well, what else do I have to say other than it's funny? Since the episodes are only 11 minutes, they cram in as many jokes as They cram in as many jokes as possible. Now, not all the jokes are funny, some of them really aren't that good.
What delightful role modeling! And you're not doing so bad yourselves.
Why am I always second to bread?
But when they get it right, they get it right.
The only award I ever get is a butt whooping. And the occasional Grammy nomination.
Again, they don't really keep any characters consistent. They're more of loose outlines for them to write jokes around, which is completely fine with me. Some of the times the jokes can be really clever.
So, where's my money? You seem to be a little short.
That's not what the fans say.
Now, I don't think I can go any further without mentioning the Sonic references. In Season 1, very rarely they would have a quick reference to the mainline Sonic series. It was amazing as a quick one-off, and it was okay in the season finale as well.
Shadow the Hedgehog? Hey everybody, look! Shadow's here! He's only the second most popular character in the whole canon!
Since it was the first time that they used Shadow, it made sense to make jokes about his build-up. But in season 2, things got way out of hand. Almost every episode there's a long drawn-out joke that you wouldn't get unless you knew the source material.
It's the best one in the entire series! Tomatopotamus never worked in 3D.
Game companies always ruin their beloved franchises.
And they never should have changed the color of Tomatopotamus's legs.
Don't get me wrong, I love it, but to a kid, none of this would make any sense. It won't let me stop the recording. Stop! Press the fucking stop button, nothing's happening. The writing is greatly portrayed by all the voice actors. I think this is where the new voice actors perfected their roles. Roger makes a perfect Boom Sonic just because of how calm and mellow he is. Roger doesn't make a good cocky Sonic that's always spouting one-liners. He's good as a sort of mellow Sonic that doesn't really care about anything.
It's 2:30 in the afternoon. People are trying to sleep.
Amy sounds a little less, you know.
Oh, I know I shouldn't, but I can't help myself.
Okay, Colleen is a perfect Tails. She's like Kate Higgins, but like twice as good. He sounds like an actual kid, and he actually shows emotion unlike Kate Higgins. And Travis, his voice is the exact same as modern Knuckles, but it actually works for Boom Knuckles because how stupid he is.
Here's a good one. A horse walks into a bar, and the bartender says, "Hey, no animals in here!"
And what else could I say? Mike Pollock perfects Eggman. I didn't think it was possible for him to even get better, but it happened.
You are too beautiful to live.
You know what? Before I summarize my thoughts on the show, I'll list my 5 favourite episodes and least favourite episodes. I'll start with my favourite. Next top villain. What do I say? It's an interesting episode. One that doesn't focus on the main cast, and has everyone's favourite villager be the star. And what can I say? It's just a funny episode.
Will you just quiet down and let me break you out of here?
I can break myself out. Thank you very much.
What's going on down there?
Nothing, Mrs. Dave's mom.
You almost got us in trouble.
Vector Detector. A game character makes an appearance, and you would expect the Boom version of Vector to be goofy and incompetent, but they actually make a successful detective of his own TV show. I also love his redesign.
You get a reality show.
When they paid me big-time TV do-re-mi.
You should probably see an optometrist about that.
Anything you can do, I can do worse, sir. Ian Flynn from the Archie comics, rest in peace, makes his first episode, and I like it for the idea alone. Tails tries to capture Sonic. It's a cool scenario and it got some funny jokes. Fleeing from trouble. Again, I know I'm saying this a lot, but it's just a really funny episode. Also, it has a scene where Tails kicks Amy in the face, so that's always a plus. The season finale. Come on, you all saw it coming. Shadow's triumphant return. This is my favourite appearance of Kirk Thornton. He betrays him perfectly. He's so gullible though. How does he fall for this?
Shadow? He is weak. That wind bag? Good. Never beat me. What a weak wind bag he is.
This aggression shall not stand. Sonic and his friends shall pay.
And then Emo Eggman says, "Oh yeah, Eggman's in this portal to an alternate dimension." Oh, okay, thanks. It also has some amazing action and is easily the best episode in the entire series.
Say goodnight, blue boy.
Oh man, a cliffhanger? I hate those.
Okay, before I talk about my least favourite episodes, let me just say, there aren't many episodes of this show I think are bad, and many of the bad episodes just have the problem of being not funny. 3 minutes or less. Sonic becomes a delivery boy and promises to deliver the food in 3 minutes or less, and boredom ensues. It is also one of the episodes where the animation looks really bad. Curse of the Cross-Eyed Moose. What can I say? It's just not a funny episode. That's it. What more do you want from me? Lure on Lockdown. It's weird because I really like the idea. All the characters being separated, it was a good chance to see characters that never really interact with each other. But the biggest problem with it was that it's only 11 minutes. We barely got any good character interactions. Although some of the jokes did make me laugh.
Look around, Nichols. Every failed invention and science project of my life is in this room. A can from my old tomato sauce scheme. The decapitated head of my Shrew bot. A dinosaur egg from when we went back in time.
Who could forget that classic adventure?
Return to the Valley of the Cubots. This is the first episode that includes Defect the robot from Fire and Ice, and the episode just does nothing. I never laughed once. It wasn't a good story, the action wasn't there, it just had nothing going for it. It was also written by Ken Pontac and Warren Graff, the writers for the Sonic games post Unleashed, and they did not do a good job of it. Let's take these writers who are known for making very violent and graphic stuff, and also who wrote shitty Sonic scripts, and have them write an 11-minute episode for a children's comedy. Oh yeah, that sounds a good idea. Dr. Eggman's Anti-Gravity Ray. When I saw the title for this episode, I thought it would be about Eggman switching the gravity and the heroes would be fighting on roofs and shit, but no. All the characters just go in the sky and Sonic brings them back down. Not even the amazing Knuckles moment was enough to see how boring and unfunny this episode was.
You know, Amy, anytime someone calls attention to the breaking of gender rules, it ultimately undermines the concept of gender equality by implying that this is an exception and not the status quo. What? Just because I'm a meathead doesn't mean I'm not a feminist.
There could have been amazing visuals, but it's boring. And that's it. What else is there to talk about? Nope. Nothing. Okay, might as well. Cartoon Network fucking killed this show. A terrible time slot, little to no advertising, and for season 2, they moved it to Boomerang to quote-unquote make the channel more desirable. The show got around 1 million viewers with its shit time slot and little to no advertising in season 1. So imagine what it could have gotten with a decent time slot and lots of ads. This show could have been really successful, and after it moved to Boomerang... Oh. I feel bad for the people that worked on this show, especially Bill Freiberger. He signs on to a Sonic the Hedgehog show, unknowing of the rabid fanbase that will murder him if he does anything wrong, especially over a certain topic. So if any of the creators or writers are watching this, hello, what was it like working on a Sonic show? I hope the fans didn't leave too bad an impression. Who knows if a season 3 will happen at this point? The show's pretty successful in other countries, so anything could happen, although I feel like Sega just wants to forget Boom ever happened. If it did, I'd personally like it to go on to Hulu or Netflix, where it would probably get way more viewers. Is Sonic Boom the best show ever? No. But it's a pretty damn good one.
Oh no! You stained my dress! Now no one will dance with me at the ice cream social!
I stopped watching cartoons a couple of years ago, but Boom got me back into watch shows like Gravity Falls Regular Show and Steven Universe, which will be the next fair cartoon review. Lots to say about that show. But for me, that's all thanks to Sonic Boom, and for that, it'll always hold a special place in my heart. Okay, gotta try condense this into 20 seconds. This is not going to be a normal thing, a regular thing, really, cartoon reviews. Next to Steven Universe, that won't be until the show ends. If I'm going to review any cartoons, the show has to end. Okay, 5 seconds. The show has to be over because I don't feel like reviewing a show that still is going on.